Happy New Year! Channy Naruna here. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Ready Go. How you doing? Did you all have a good New Year? I was actually up half the night just listening to Hololive karaoke. Then I went to sleep. And a few hours later, I woke up and continued to listen to Hololive karaoke. And then around 7 a.m., I started working on the game. And actually, I have so much to show you guys. It's actually crazy, and we're actually not gonna do a lot of programming today. Only really a small amount, but what are we actually gonna do? We are going to build the main level. Everything is ready to build the main level. Well, except the graphics. But they are coming soon. So, yeah. Let's hop on over, shall we? I have so much to show you guys. I don't know if you can hear it, but I am super excited to show everything. Alright. First of all, we have a proper enemy spawn manager. Look at this. Also, we have a bunch of enemy types. That have just very basic movement AIs. But each of them is distinct. They're not done yet, though. Also, every enemy is going to deal contact damage. So, yeah. We're just now waiting for it to load. My laptop is so slow. It takes so forever. We're waiting for a minute already. Can you believe it? Also, thank you for the headpad, Zeri. Thank you. After I'm done showing you guys, just basically what I did, I'm also gonna show you guys the code. I know some of you are probably super curious about the code. Alright. There we go. The problem is we cannot jump. Okay, this might be a problem. In this particular case, what has happened here is we have 3 cronies spawning. And the cronies are very, very strong. Like, holy shit. They can push fucking cars. They can push everything around if they want to. But normally, they don't do that because, and that's one thing I'm proud of, as you see these red dots, all of these are basically inaccessible areas for the enemies. But just for the pathfinding, inaccessible. So normally, what happens? They normally don't even attempt to push things. But because we had so many cars spawning, this kind of got messed up. Because this is just a small room. And we can try this again. Because it is completely up random what actually happens. And this is probably the most unlucky spawn that I ever had. Okay, this is better. As you see, this guy here, he's a little special case. Because... Wait. What? You're? What the fuck? That is something I need to deal with. Because you, my dude... First of all, why are you flying? It's interesting, but... I right now have so many cases of things that aren't supposed to happen. They are basically carrying him around. Your Highness, where would you like to go? Oh, you would like to follow this person? Sure, let us carry you there. They are literally carrying him around. Because he cannot move on his own. They are literally carrying him around. Follow this person! Yes, Your Highness. You love the cameras moving? I'm glad. But yeah. These are some very interesting cases what just happened, and this gave me the knowledge that some things are not alright yet. Specifically with you. Rigid body? Your rigid body needs to be like 50. I don't want you to fly. Okay. Let's hope that this works now. Of course, all of these are just placeholders. But you guys already see some of the different enemy types that we have. Which... we have the Novelites. Also, the main problem is that stuff is spawning inside us. And yeah, now they stop because this is the original location of the thing. And here's also the flying enemy. Wait, why are you able to push this around like this? Okay, so this was originally here. And it stopped him. But it didn't stop the other guy. But you guys already see, like, the pathfinding. It kind of works. Kind of works. What do you mean with giant enemy spider? Eh? Is... What is Germa? What is Germa? What? Is this... No! Who is Germa? Is that like a content creator? I never heard that name. That's like the name of a content creator? It's okay! It's okay! But yeah, I have no idea who Germa is. I've never heard the name. Let me drink something. I mean, until 2 years ago, I had nothing to do with streamers. I didn't even watch VTubers at the time. And even a year later, I didn't know any streamers. Save for, like, Jacksepticeye or Markiplier, but those are more YouTubers. Those are not streamers. They maybe stream, but they're not primarily streamers, I think. But yeah, never heard the name. But yeah, let's go back into coding. So one thing we're actually gonna do, and that is one thing that's the one thing that still bothers me about this, is we're gonna go into script, and we're gonna go into our spawn manager. And let's make sure that, yep, you guys are not actually seeing it, so that's a problem. Alright. No, this is C#. I cannot write Java. Though I heard Java is very similar to C#. Java, C Sharp, and C are similar. C++ is modern. Well, I know that Unreal Engine is using C++, while Unity is using C Sharp. So, for me who uses Unity, it is more useful to know C Sharp. So, I can't use C++. I also currently don't have any intention of learning C++. Simply for the reason, there is a lot of other stuff that I want to learn. But yeah, let's get into the code. So, this is the code that uses all the... that spawns all the enemies. And... maybe some of you already know this, but I committed a certain sin in this code, and that is magic numbers. So, what we're now gonna do is, we're gonna... magic numbers... I saw a clip that called it that, but basically, you don't want to just have numbers in your code. You want to basically have everything accessible via variables. And having... well, that's basically what this code does. But we're gonna do a little bit of something here. And that is... public float. I probably shouldn't do everything public, but I don't care. I don't care right now. Public float. And then... now we have to make sure, is upwards the y-axis or the x-axis? Like, is vertical y? Okay. So, okay. We do x minimum range. And we're not gonna declare this here. And then public float x maximum range. So now instead of this, we add X minimum range and X maximum range. And we do the same thing here. X minimum range, X maximum range. So why do I have this separately? This has multiple reasons. First off, I can actually control how many objects spawn, how many enemies spawn. Second, I can make sure that the obstacles spawn below the enemy. So the obstacles don't just fall onto the enemy's head, but also the obstacles need very specifically a certain height to spawn because of the pathfinding. So if this is messed up, then the pathfinding is going to be messed up. I mean, the only person who has to read this code is me. At least that used to be like that, but I guess for you guys it's easier if I commented. Yeah, I can see that. So, I think starting next time, anything that everything that I make from now on, I'm gonna comment. And if I have time, I'm gonna comment the rest. Though, obviously, my priority is finishing the game jam. So, just going back right now would cost me a lot of time. Then again, commenting my code would help you guys who know programming to help me eventually if I ever need it. So, there's also that. But yeah, let's go back. So, let me copy this. And say this is Y, and also enemy. And then also let me copy this again. Copy. I am very lazy to actually type this. Copy. And going in. Y. And enemy. Copy. So, if we only needed one spawn manager, it would be fine. Probably. It's still better to do it like this and cleanly. But, yeah. It also just helps with readability. Oh wait, that's wrong. Y. Minimum range. And Y. Maximum range. And then we do the same here. Y. Minimum range obstacle. And Y. Maximum range obstacle. Okay. Now we save this. So, why did I not set this? Because we are going to Eric, I'm sorry to say this, but don't backseat, please. Don't backseat like that. Actually, programming on stream does take me a lot of courage, because I know I'm not fast. So, stuff like that doesn't help. I'm sorry for being like this right now, but please. Thank you. Alright. Now let me go into the prefabs. Also, I think my headphones just turned off, which is lovely. Not at all. But I'm gonna charge them for a moment. just means I'm not gonna hear any alerts, fortunately. But yeah. We go into the spawn manager. Well, that is not exactly where I want it. Just once. And, okay. So. What are our coordinates here? So we can test this. Our the X here is -9. So we go here and type -9. We go here, and I think it was 48 if I remember correctly. Yes, 48. And I remember here it was -2 and -2. These ones I had the same, but we can't technically change them. And for the enemies, I'm just gonna say 1 and 2. Then we can also say how many enemies do we want to spawn. And here's another thing that I made. This one, nothing, literally spawns an empty object. And what this does is it basically makes that it doesn't always need to be 3 enemies that spawn. It can be 2 or 1. I'm going to do the same with the obstacles as well. But with the obstacles, I'm actually waiting for the sprites, because we have different colored sprites for some of the things. Thank you, Ready Go. And I'm sorry I had to react so harshly about that. Anyway, let's get back into it. But yeah, we have the nothing thing here, and technically I can actually add this here as well. And have this to be nothing. That makes me actually think, though, that is another thing that I actually need to change. Because here I still have to also go into the code to change that. That is this one. So let's set. Those are so many variables. Public int. And we call this max enemy. And public int max stop. Cool. Okay. So then we change this to max enemy, and this to max obstacle. Oh wait, no wait, that is wrong. That is spawn number obstacle, which we already have, but I don't know. Anyway, with this in place, I just made a mistake, though. That's annoying. Alright. I need to wait for it to actually load before it actually lets me to go back. Okay, have a good lurk. Enjoy the time with your brother. I'll also be right back. Alright. We have 10 enemy types. So max enemy 10. And max obstacle 7. If I did everything correctly, then this should now go off without a hitch. Yeah, that's the only problem, that basically obstacles can spawn inside each other. It's actually funny because this has never happened while I was actually testing stuff and doing stuff. And now, every time I do this, it just shows my what the stuff that doesn't work. Though a car on top of a vending machine is definitely interesting. But yeah, now we have everything we need to make the actual level. There's only one thing I'm going to add, or two things, but from here, it's not gonna be any programming for a while. Not until we actually add the dash animation. So now let's get the level building. And create. How do I actually create a scene? A new scene. File. Ah, there, new scene. See? And then we're gonna create a new scene. Yes, 2D. And we're gonna save scene as we're gonna save the scene as Hollow City. Okay. Yes. Okay, now it worked. So, first of all, we're going to add just create 2D object, sprite, then a square, and we set this to the middle. And then we're gonna zoom out a little because our goal is to actually make the square longer. Alright. Let's make the square long. And then we are going to duplicate this. And the duplicate is gonna be on top. Why am I doing this? Because wait, I need to actually be closer to make sure they actually are together. Eventually they're gonna have a sprite, so it's not gonna matter that much then, but right now it does. Okay. So this one is ground, and this one is obstacle. This is for pathfinding. Because with the pathfinding, also I think I need to add cool. We actually need to add a box collider to both these. Actually, no. Only to... This is actually the wrong word, but... Yeah, let's also add a box collider here. Which just basically is going to make sure that we actually have collision. Now, the start of the level and where we actually gonna start the player is gonna be here at the start. And this might still be actually too short, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it's definitely too short. But we can make it longer. That's not a problem. We can move the start point back as well when we do that. Thank you for the hat pack, guys! And now we're actually gonna add another thing. Also, no, it's actually bad. I'm just gonna make a new square. Create sprite square. But we're gonna give this, we're not gonna give this a box collider. We're just gonna have this layer obstacle, and we're gonna remove the sprite renderer. But it still should have a scale, right? Yes. And essentially what this does Actually, for now, let's actually add a sprite renderer again. Wait, I messed up. Let's just... Okay. Now we have this. We're gonna remove the sprite renderer in a bit. But for now, I need for this to be actually pretty high. Let's say 30. Then switch to movement and this. And now we can remove the component. And we're gonna call this zone stop. And I'm gonna add this as a prefab. So, what does this do? This is gonna make it so that basically what I want to do is have enemies spawn in the zone like rooms, and flying enemies can't just fly all across the level to get to the player when they're not supposed to. And I can also make, by also using multiple spawn manager, I can make sure that the amount of enemies and obstacles is balanced for each zone. So while it's randomly generated, it's still going to be balanced. Alright, let's get back. And this here is just to make sure enemies... I actually want to make sure enemies don't spawn in this, like, at the start, so they don't fall on top of us. And actually, I'm gonna remove the player real quick. I have an idea. Delete the player? We still have the player here, so it's fine. But essentially, let's move the zone stop over here. And then also have everything into this, which I'm gonna create an empty object and call this me And then this one is... add this to the zone stop to enemy room. Then this I'm gonna rename into ground. And also add this to the enemy room. And this one I'm gonna call obstacle layer. And also add this to the enemy room. And now for this, I'm gonna duplicate you. And I'm going to add you to the other side. And with this, then I'm also gonna add the spawn manager into the enemy room. And by theory, the spawn manager's point should now be... Oh my god. I just saved myself so much work. I just saved myself so much work. I wasn't even thinking of this, but this is actually amazing. And I'm gonna show you what I actually just did. But also, spawn manager, transform, reset. So the reset, the spawn manager is actually based. If I now move this, like the enemy room, then if I did this correctly, see? It's always staying the same. Right? Let me... Yeah. It's always staying the same. But also let me just reset this. And have the spawn manager actually also be... this is in the middle, yeah. So... this is like this. And now the entire position is always based on the enemy room. So now that I do this, I can say zone stop 1 minus 56. minus 56. And the other one is 44. Then the ground is at minus 10. So set this to... this is correct. Yeah. So minus 10 should be good for the obstacle layers, but that might need some fine-tuning. Minus 10 and minus 9.8. And then the actual enemy spawn height, I'm going to go based on this. Let's set this to 2. Between 2 and 0. Or 0 and 2. Minimum 0 and 2. And I'm actually going to Bay. Just so we have the camera and everything. Which should be all there, yeah. So let's test this, okay? Come on, please work. If this works, this is gonna be amazing. Okay. Let's pause and see what went wrong. Okay, where's actually the player camera? Because the camera is... there might be something wrong with the camera. I'll check that in a bit. Well, it should track the player transform, so why didn't it? But let's go with... we already see that there is some stuff we have to do. So let's stop that. And go into the spawn manager. And then we go into A star. Please just do a quick scan so we actually see some. Okay, we're not seeing anything right now. Ah, that's why. I obviously have to do this. So first of all, let's actually move you -5? No. No, it is minus. -10? That's too much. -8? -7? -6. Yeah, -6 works. Then this, I'm gonna turn into 0. And for the height now, we're gonna use 40? That might be a little bit overkill. $30. So wait, does the sound stop not actually work? Or is it just outside? It might be outside. Or it might actually need a box collider with trigger. I have to test this. A-star, do another scan. Yeah, so let's add... add component. And add a collider. 2D box collider. Okay, now this should... Yeah, so now we see at least the... Yep, this should technically... But also exclude the player. And we don't want the enemies to be actually... be stopped. We just don't want it to... Wait, so stop. Actually here. Player... and enemy. So now, A-star? Are you actually gonna... Yeah! Now we have the actual zone stop. What this means is the enemies are actually gonna be confined in this room, and are not just gonna go elsewhere to try to get to the player. And that means flying enemies are actually just gonna stay in their zone. And by making this entire room, I'm planning to make this entire room a prefab. By making this entire room a prefab, I can copy it as many times as I want, and basically just create the entire level like this. which is going to make it so easy. But I also will have to figure out why did the camera not work. Which, the main camera... The player camera. Ah, okay. That was the problem. So, now let's try this again. Also, I just realized I have to deactivate the A-star again for this to work, but for a quick test, if everything is working as intended, this should be fine. Yeah, kind of. I'll have to see what I'll do about this. Because, yeah, this is still a problem. This is actually a problem. Maybe. There should be something I can do. But all in all, this works. With that, we can just put the enemy room in here as a prefab. So, we now have to figure out some things. Mainly, how am I actually gonna do it that stuff isn't spawning on top of each other? There are, I think, a couple of ways to do it. The easiest way would be to just say they don't actually interfere with each other. And so basically they would just start being drawn into the foreground or into the background of each other with the sorting layer. And then basically an obstacle can exist next to another obstacle. And we can have stuff like a vending machine behind a car, and then in front is the box. Technically. It's actually pretty good. Let's do that. So, the car, 2D, exclude, obstacle, box, exclude obstacle, and the vending machine also. Exclude obstacle. technically they don't interfere with each other anymore, but obviously we want to have them drawn into a very into a very specific order. Okay, that is not their sorting layer. That's the thing I'm looking for. Basically, the vending machine should be 0, I think. Then the car should be 1. And the box should be 2. It could be that I'm doing this backwards, but I think this is how it works. But even if I'm doing this backwards, it's not a big deal. So let's try this. Let's pause to see actually what's happening. Yeah, they are pushing the car, I think. But yeah, this is working. Except I see this here now. We actually want the minimum. We actually want to spawn things a bit higher. Though the actual vending machine is going to be smaller. I saw from an echo the actual vending machine is going to be about the size of Bay. So maybe it's not a problem, but maybe it is. I'm not sure. This I'm going to have to check. But yeah, with this, we can now actually stop this and look how easy it is to now just build a level. Except maybe like this. Wait, can I make this snap to the grid? Yes. are you not snipping to do? Actually, good snapping might actually be horrible. That said, the base idea still stands. Just needs some fine-tuning by the end. But I'm gonna do the in a moment when I have them basically in place, and then I just need to fine-tune them. So yeah, do you see this? How fast I can build a level now? Isn't that amazing? And I can extend this as much as I want. So yeah, that is, holy fuck. I am very pleased with myself. Let's just, what is here? The just always needs to be 0. And then okay, that's good, that's good. Zero. Zero. And now if I hit play, it's gonna initialize everything. Landing on the right, so let's see what's actually happening with the spawn managers. A star. Show me the what is actually happening. So this one is working. Then Bond Manager. A star. This might not be working as intended. This might not be working as intended. It would have been too nice, but it's gonna cost us a little bit more work. Because actually what happened is everything just spawned into this room. And I guess A-star is not, like, it's not duplicatable. But we can fix this. So, we're going to. But I'll be right back. Just give me a moment. Alright, I'm back. So, this did not go as intended, but it's not bad. We can work with this. So let's stop this. What did we find out? 1 A-star, we only need 1 A-star. We can remove all the others. After this, we just need the first. As for the spawn manager, the spawn manager kind of works, but I made the mistake that I thought it was tied to the enemy room, the spawn coordinates, but that is not the case because the spawns are not spawning as children. So, we need to actually figure out how big is the room. We are not a wizard and we're not casting fireball, so we want to know how big is the room. So, how do we do this? We actually can use the spawn manager for this. Because we have the X range. And minus 56 and 44. That is 56. Wait, is this 100? That is... Huh. I accidentally made it exactly 100. That is amazing, actually. Because for the second one, enemy room 2, spawn manager. All we need to do is turn this into 44 and this into 144. And then this one is 144 and 244. If I'm doing this correctly. Yeah, because it's still positive. So this is correct. And this stays positive. And then here. For the final one. $244 and 344. But obviously, right now, we still don't have enough mesh. So let's actually do that. And the way we're going to do this is, or should also be fairly simple. Because nodes wide is 400. Yeah, and with 400 we already see basically this is working. the center needs to be, let's say, 100? Maybe 200. Oh wait. That's fine though. 200 is fine, I think. No, it's not. It's 150? Almost. 140? Yep, that's pretty close. $145. Yeah! Look at this. Now it actually includes all of this. So now let's try this again, shall we? If I did everything correctly, then we should actually have a level now. Look at this! That was weird. Okay, something weird is going on when changing the zone that I have to figure out what is happening here. But all in all, why? What? What's going on here? Can? Wait, why did... What happened? Okay, let's try this again and figure out what happened. I can't believe that I'm actually debugging on stream. But all in all, this is working. Kind of. Okay, now we pause. All right. So, what is with the others? What is What's going on here? The first room obviously works fine. So, what is actually happening? Let's unpause. So wait. Why are you guys pushing this? Ah, you're just... Okay. Maybe I'm spawning everything too low. I think that's actually what's happening, among things. That I'm spawning everything too low. But that is also fixable. Alright, so what's happening now? We don't have a nav mesh out here. For some reason. I'm pretty sure we had one earlier. So, why not now? But yeah, because of it, the enemies here are basically dead. What is going on? Why? It's supposed to scan the entire area. Why doesn't it? Oh, wait. I think I know it. That's what's happening. Well, among things. But I'm pretty sure that is part of the reason. Let's figure out if things work now. Yeah, look at this! Obviously, yeah, we are spawning things too low. I can tell. And we still have to figure out why are we colliding here? Let's play through the level and see if everything holds up, basically. Whoop! Yep, that needs to be fixed. It is something to do with the walls. which every time we go through here, whoop, we get an extreme speed boost. That is not intended. But yeah. What do you guys say? That's actually amazing, isn't it? Take a look. I'll show you. We still have a bug that we need to fix. But overall, this is working. We have a randomly generated level here. That, for the most part, kind of works. And as you see, the entire nav mesh is working. But there is a little bit of a problem. Besides, enemies kind of. Yeah, I think it. Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the bug. We get every time we leave a room, we get just fucking launched. Wait for it. Pew! See? That's what we need to figure out. Why is this happening? There shouldn't be a collision. With the sound stop. There shouldn't be a collision. Yeah. But... what if I name this something else than obstacle? And so... I don't know if that's actually gonna make a difference. But add a layer. And say... zone. Stop. Then go back into prefabs. Seems intentional to me. Not quite. So, obstacle. So, stop. And I want you to exclude zone stop. So now, wait, the circle also needs to So hopefully, also A star. Obstacle layer, so stuck. Oh yeah, that is actually one thing that I also wanted to change is remove ground here. That is literally the reason I made the the thing. And here I did notice that the Y range is a bit too low, so I'm gonna turn this into -1 and see how this is. Now this should actually work for every, right? Wait, 10? No, I said -1. Why did you turn it into 10? -1. -1. -1. I hope this is right. Wait, on what's the space? Ah, this was based on that. Right. Ah. Still. Spawn manager. Let's have this -9. And 8.9. I think I remember what my thought was with this. And this one -9. 8.9. -9 and 8.9. Yeah. And last but not least, -9. 8.9. Okay. So let's try this again, shall we? If my theory is correct, both layers should the player should exclude the zone wall, and the zone wall should exclude the player. There should not be any collision between the two. first of all checking if everything's still working. Yeah. And it still seems a little bit low, but the actual vending machines are gonna be smaller, so it should be fine. It should be fine. Since the actual vending machine should be smaller. So yeah, this should be working. The question now is, are we still getting launched? No, right? No, it works! Yeah! And here we see actually the example of... You knocked it over. Of the vending machines and stuff being on different layers working. So yeah. This is that. Everything is working. Oh, I don't know what you mean. I totally didn't forget to turn off the desktop audio from yesterday. Welcome back! Welcome back. But yeah, I'm actually gonna stop things here. And once I again have stuff to show, I'm gonna show you guys. Maybe it's tonight, maybe it's tomorrow. But for now, I'm going to end things here. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. And see you next time. Bye-bye.